Oh, hi everyone. My name is Andy Thomas from Abacus Jack Accountancy. Thanks for joining the session. I'm going to talk today about data and analytics and reporting in terms of a small business managing reports. I'm going to share my screen in a second and go through some slides. But really the idea of this session is to sort of highlight the importance of looking at data within the business and using that data to make informed decisions and drive out key insights. Unfortunately, for many years, a lot of businesses have just got a set of accounts, once a year, and that's kind of the only data coming out of the business. But really, if that's all you're getting, it's very difficult to kind of use that to help you make key decisions. Accounts data is traditionally quite static, it's quite two-dimensional. A set of statutory accounts, for example, is often quite hard to understand for many business owners. It's written in a way that's not exactly easy to digest. So what I want to try and highlight is there are better ways of looking at the data within your business and how useful and helpful it can be to try and do that. So I'm just going to open up my screen here and share with you some slides that kind of bring that idea to life a bit. So hopefully you can see that now. So yeah, as small business owners, why should we worry about data within our business? Well, data is an asset. Okay, it's a really important and useful tool that you've got at your disposal. So as you run your business, revenue comes into the business and costs go out of the business. All that data that's building up over time can actually be used to really help you answer decisions about the future in terms of opportunities, weaknesses, areas where you need to concentrate on. We live in a data-driven world, and if you're only getting that data from a set of annual accounts, then in my view, you're missing out on a wealth of kind of intelligence that could be coming out of the business. So, as this quote says here, you basically can't manage what you don't measure. And we all need to kind of keep an eye on different areas of our business in terms of what's working well for us and what's not working so well, particularly at the moment with very uncertain conditions. So if we stay on top of what's happening, we can react and we can make changes much quicker than if we don't keep an eye on those things. So this slide here that I've brought up is sort of a fairly traditional view of like a profit and loss report from a business. You can instantly see here it's not very interesting. It's pretty dull. It's a very static black and white table that most business owners, myself included, would look at and just think, well, okay, it's some data. I don't really want to spend too long looking at that. It doesn't tell you the story of what's happening within your business. It's just an output. So yeah, it's very difficult to be able to actually look at that and perform any analysis because of the lack of context around it. Equally, whoever is producing this for you, whether it's your accountant or whether you're doing it yourself, can be really time consuming because there's a lot of spreadsheet work, a lot of data input. And even if the accounting system is outputting this kind of format, chances are there's a lot of sort of manipulation having to go in as well. So that's the old way. I don't want to spend too long on that. I want to start introducing a kind of new way of reporting. Now, we all work in a world where we use cloud accounting systems. So we're all used to working with things like Free Agent, Xero, QuickBooks, Sage, whatever it is. They all do fundamentally the same kind of thing. And we've all got our various systems that we're used to working with. As a practice, we use Free Agent for most of our clients. We find it's just a really good balance between a simple to use but yet really powerful accounting system. It's suitable for a massive range of businesses, and it's very accessible. It's got obviously the web portal and also the app as well. So it's a really good all-round, well-balanced system. But equally, those of you that use things like Xero and QuickBooks, they're very, very good systems to use for small businesses. But that's all. That's the accounting system. That's tracking your bank feed. That's tracking your invoices, your bills. What we're talking about today is the reporting. So it's using the data within those systems to bring out insight that you can use within the business. So what you can see examples of here, and this is just dummy data. Apologies, it's in dollars, but obviously I can't use real data to share with you. So I'm using some pretend data. You see, it's very graphical. It's very easy to see what's happened over time within this business. It's very easy to kind of see things like top 10 expenses. It's easy to compare periods and look at areas where there's opportunities or weaknesses. So for example, I'm going to show you in a minute where you can track who your sort of best customers are, and that's where you should be focusing your energy and your time on developing those relationships. When we produce performance reports and management accounts for clients, this is kind of some of the example content that we find works quite well. Again, it's in dollars because I've had to sanitize the data. But what you're seeing really is this first picture here on the left is a balance sheet, but it's not a balance sheet in some of the traditional sense that we know it. It's presented graphically. So you've got things like your revenue coming in and your costs coming out. You can see that at the top. But then it's taking into account what's happening in terms of money that people owe you from unpaid invoices and money that you owe your suppliers in terms of unpaid invoices, because that all has an effect on what's happening within the cash within your business. For any particular period, whether it's a month or a quarter or even an annual period, you can see from charts like this what the overall change is in terms of your net cash movement. And that's just really important to kind of keep an eye on that. And as a business owner, you don't want to be presented with a load of tables that tell you this. You just want to look at a graphic and say, right, okay, in this period, I've got a positive net movement of cash, or I've got a negative net movement of cash, and then look into why that's happened. Likewise, second diagram here is around profitability. What this is showing us is that for this particular business, you've got a base level of fixed costs that have to be paid every month. So these are the things you literally have to pay out in order to just keep the lights on. So they're going to be things like your rent, your bills, your staff costs, that kind of thing, that are going to be coming out of the business every single month, regardless of how much trade you're doing. And then you've got your variable costs. So these are things like your cost of sales and maybe the materials you're buying in or contractors that you're working with, costs that will change over time and likely change as you increase or decrease your revenue. But where this is very useful is it instantly kind of tells you whether you're operating with a good degree of safety, in other words, a good margin within the business, or indeed whether things are quite tight. And if they're quite tight, where can we look at efficiencies? Where can we look to try and reduce costs and give you some safety, give you some comfort within the business? And again, it's hard to get this from just a table. So when presented graphically, it helps business owners understand the point we're trying to get across. The next area to look at here is a very simple way of breaking down your revenue by customers. And again, a good way of seeking out opportunities with those customers. So who's spending the most money with you? Therefore, who's really important to you and to your future success as a business? So where should you be investing your effort to develop relationships, provide service improvements? You might look at this and say, okay, I'm going to hire an account manager particularly to look after my top 5 clients because they're bringing in this amount of revenue. And that warrants that investment in the business to bring someone in. I appreciate the figures here are quite large. Most of us running small businesses don't have figures as high as that, but it gives you an example of how you can start to graphically represent different aspects of the business. And just a final kind of chart there. It shows a lot of different ways of presenting data, and by using the data graphically, it allows business owners to kind of quickly understand what's happening. I quite like the expenses graph here because most service businesses, and I get a lot of the people taking part this week will be creative, service, tech type businesses. It's going to be your wages and your rent that really are some of the highest costs. So it's really important to try and track those and understand the effect they're going to have on cash and on your profit and loss throughout the year. So that's a whistle-stop tour. I hope you found it interesting. I think when we look at data and we look at the importance of data within a business, we could speak for hours on it because there's so many different ways of utilizing that. But I think the point that I really want to try and get across is it's no longer enough to just get a set of annual accounts and look at that and say, okay, in the last 12 months, this is what I made, this is what I spent. For a start, it's historic, it's gone. What we need to be driving for now is to use that data within the business to call out the key trends and call out what's happened and use that to react and plan for the future. And the final point to kind of get across is it's actually not, once you get into the rhythm of doing it, it's not that hard to do. Whether you want to do these reports yourself or whether you want to ask your accountant to do them for you is obviously a personal choice. But I think it should be something that business owners look to do, perhaps quarterly. Monthly might be a bit overkill, but to sort of look at these reports on a quarterly basis, particularly if you're preparing things like VAT returns, you're going to have this data to hand anyway. So it's a good point to check in and start to use reports. If anyone wants to have a chat about anything that they've seen or have any questions, then I've put my contact details on the screen now. By all means, very, very happy to have some informal chats with people to see if we can help out in any way, whether it's just a bit of a sounding board for advice, or if you've looked at anything today that you'd like to use for your own business, then by all means get in touch. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the sessions that are being put on. Thanks very much, guys. Bye.